And I get that. I get that to the point that this is an exception right now. But I follow news sites on Facebook. I have good friends that follow news sites, good friends that share links and stories and whatnot. So, in normal going about for me, my normal weekly routine, I do not watch cable news. If I watch cable news, it is an accident. To absorb news, I listen to podcasts and I read stories on Facebook news and Facebook, and they come from all spectrum of political opinion. Because, being honest, folks, every news organization has a political lean to it, and a political spin, and that's fine. The only time I'm going to get really uptight about news organizations is when they pull a quote out of context, which I know I'm me, and this was even years ago, I had done to me in a newspaper story written about my family. It was pulled out of context, and it really irritated me that out of the roughly a paragraph of information that I gave this person, that's the one sentence that got included in the article and was taken out of context. The entire story was years ago. My parents felt that the cable TV that we were paying for, we watched six to 10 channels out of it, and we were getting 60. That tells you how old I am. I remember when you couldn't get 100 channels on TV. And we got somewhere around 60 channels of content, and even that was almost as much as you could get. And so much of it was just garbage that we didn't watch, stuff that wasn't appropriate for kids that were mine and my siblings' age at the time. And so my parents decided, and plus it just kept getting more and more expensive every year. And my parents had seen the decline on what was on TV. So they decided to cancel the cable. And there was a decided period of adjustment to that. But when as time went on, everybody got accustomed to it. I was, in my family, the last person to get used to not having cable TV at the house. I'll admit that. But I got used to it, and my family and I became closer knit because of it, because we had 2 TVs in 2 rooms. Mom and Dad would watch their TV, my sister and I would watch our TV, and so it was something that took us apart, and we weren't involved with each other. Well, as we began to reconnect, we started playing board games, we started doing trivia stuff, just having fun as a family. It was fantastic. And I was mischaracterized in the interview because I said it's taken me the longest time to get used to it, or something to the effect of that. But the way that the article was worded made it sound like I was still regretting the decision to cancel the cable. Sure, there were some shows that I missed, but shortly after that, the shows that everyone was a fan of when they were releasing on box set, we would start picking those up as time went on. We got started in a series that wasn't being rerun on our cable package Dad bought the whole series of that. It was MASH, which I'm still in love with, even though I've seen every episode a multiple of times. Bought some Star Trek box sets because I'm a nerd. Things like that. It was just, but at that point in time, we only had the one TV set up in the house that had DVD playback. So it brought us together, and we all watched the stuff together, and there was a standing rule on box set TV shows. We could go back and re-watch stuff that had already been watched, but when the new season came in, we would watch however many episodes as a family when it came out, and so no one skipped ahead. But being mischaracterized by the media is no fun, so I don't like mischaracterizations or pulling quotes out of context. Case in point, Nick Sandman at Washington, D.C., when the Native American Indian and all the bad coverage of that. I went back and I watched about 20-30 minutes of the full clip, and he was in no way confrontational with anybody that was in D.C. that said all the stuff about him, and the media got it hugely wrong. I frankly think that CNN should have gone to court. I know that they settled out of court. I know that the Sandmans had a lawyer. I know that they received death threats and all sorts of nasty stuff over the mischaracterization. I would have loved to have seen CNN sued out of existence over that, due to the mischaracterization. In my opinion, ratings are no good when it comes to news if you're getting the ratings first and the story second. I would rather hear a story 2 days later but have an accurate picture of what happened, regardless of the political slant on. If it was a political point of view that I 100% disagreed with, but I knew for a fact the story was 100% accurate, I'd watch it over hearing my own political view. That's just a fact. Because hearing a political slant that I agree with on a story that may or may not be 100% accurate, what good does that do? Makes you look like an idiot. And there's plenty of people on every political side of the aisle doing that. And you don't need any help to do that. There's a ton of misinformation already on the internet. So, no one needs help looking like an idiot. So, anyway, that's just a few thoughts of mine. Hope y'all have been doing okay through this coronavirus. I tell you, I know I sound so ungrateful and so millennial first world problem, which I do fall in. I am among the oldest of the millennial generation. I am your elder. But I know I sound ungrateful and this is very first world problem, but this has been so darn boring compared to normal. And I will admit, I am no good with time management. Unless I'm task oriented, but I am no good with time management. If someone gives me a to-do list, so, okay, as an example, I get text messages or phone calls about my customers that I cut grass for and their yard needs attention on it. I might not get to it all in the same day, depending on when they all text or what I've got already scheduled for that day for myself. But I'm on it, and it will get done in a reasonably timely manner, weather permitting. You put me by myself onto my own devices, and I can do nothing and be very content while doing it. Unimaginably content doing it. And that's nice for a day. But I'm struggling with occupying my time in a financially responsible manner and finding stuff for me and the kids to do, because I'm for the most part, the stay-at-home dad right now due to my company being laid off temporarily. And so I'm just struggling with staying occupied, and it's no fun. And also stuff that's just responsible as far as social distancing goes during this coronavirus pandemic. Like, there's a ton of stuff that if this had happened, if there was a slump in demand for what I make, and I was on layoff for the past 2 weeks, I would have no problem finding stuff for me and the kids to do. I'd be going to parks and doing fun stuff, doing educational stuff, doing cheap stuff, doing stuff that costs a little money, whatever. We'd have fun. But right now, with so much uncertainty and so much social restriction, I'm really struggling keeping everybody occupied. And I've got a wide age range of kids. I've got 8 years difference between my oldest and my youngest. So stuff that, like my oldest, she can get on Wi-Fi on her Chromebook, and she's happy for the better part of a day if I just leave her to her own devices. My youngest, that don't work. That just don't work. And so she needs more to keep occupied, obviously. So it's just been a first world struggle right now. And I know I sound ungrateful, but I mean, I know that there are people that are struggling with grocery money, with having enough food, or having to eat cheaper than they're used to, that are shut in, that are making the choice between bills or groceries. I know that there are people that are way worse off than I am. And I don't mean to sound ungrateful for me being in the situation that I'm in right now, but the boredom is real. I have been enjoying dinner with my family every night. I have been enjoying getting to snuggle my wife in bed every night, even though she goes to bed before I do, because I work night shifts, so I'm still a touch of a creature of the night. I've been going to bed earlier by about 6-7 hours than normal, but that still puts me going to bed an hour or two at least after she does, because she works first shift. She's got to be on the road 5 something in the morning, I think, to be to work on time. So it's different. It's different. what have y'all been doing to cope with the extra time you find yourself with? And I know that everybody's got different answers, because some people are in better or worse circumstances, situations, what have you. So I know that some people are doing more than others during all this. Here's an interesting question that I have. If coronavirus tests are as rare as we've been led to believe that they are, and I mentioned in an earlier video that through a couple degrees of separation, I know people that had all the symptoms but never got tested, because they were not a bad case of it. They had the fever, they had the coughing, but they weren't in respiratory distress, and they were just told to go home, self-quarantine, and come out in 14 days, which worked out fine for them, by the way. They're over it. But if the tests are so rare, why are all the Hollywood elites getting tested? Tom Hanks and his wife got tested. Idris Elba got tested. In my opinion, medicine should be luck of the draw, not luck of the dollar. You know, if you show up to a hospital with symptoms and you've got, because they can't refuse you care anymore in an ER. So if you've got all the symptoms, I don't understand why you're not tested, but Tom Hanks was. If there was a test sitting there unused, you should have been tested. And if Tom Hanks walked in after you and there was no more tests, sorry. If Tom Hanks walked in first, that's fine. But I find it weird that we're finding out all the rich and important, I use the word loosely. I don't think movie stars are important. I don't care about their politics. I hate when they bring politics to bear during their acceptance speeches of awards, or give the most progressive movie the award. That's stupid. It should all be based on reviews by box office totals and by reviews. And in my opinion, it should go off second week's box office totals. Because first week's, you can hype a lousy movie into having a good opening week. You cannot hype a lousy movie into a second good week. And I know that all that's subjective. I'm not a huge fan of horror genre movies. I enjoy older horror movies when the special effects are bad and it's hokey and cheesy and terrible. Like, I imagine some old horror movies that people laugh at now would be super scary if they redid them in today's amazing CGI. But Dawn of the Dead, I think, was the movie. I watched that with a buddy of mine, and I'm laughing my tail off because it was so terrible. So terrible. But I mean, if you did it today with a decent budget for special effects, oh my gosh, that'd be a legit scary movie. Almost home, folks. But I like, I'm trying to remember the movie that was most recently critically acclaimed that like bombed. Wasn't it? It wasn't The Green Book. It might have been, but I don't think it was. But like, it was just critically acclaimed and all this. And the one that I watched, and I paid money to see this in theaters, that was the biggest letdown for me, was the first Frozen. It wasn't real funny. The plot was meh. The only good message that I thought was in it was that falling in love like Anna did in the beginning of the movie is so stupid. That's the only positive message that I got out of the movie. The first Frozen movie was so underwhelming, in my opinion. And the movie that was released around that time that had not near as much hype, but in my opinion was a magnitude better movie, was Big Hero 6. And I'm a Pixar Disney aficionado because I have kids, but Big Hero 6, way better movie. So, anyway, folks, I'm currently heading up the driveway. Hope y'all are staying safe during this, not going too crazy, and doing okay. Like, that you're doing okay on groceries and your lights aren't getting turned off. You're not facing repo, foreclosure, eviction, none of those terrible things. Stay safe, social distancing. I had a brief chat with one of my lawn customers today, but we stayed the recommended 6 feet apart. So, anyway, thanks for tuning in to the more of a stream of thought than anything else, I guess, what you'd call this, because I had no topic in mind. Oh, I'm not gonna make that. Come on. Yeah, turn. Alright, well, anyway, y'all stay safe out there. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to hearing from you. You know all the rules: like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, comments, and all that stuff. So, see ya.